What if I told you that the very law you've been holding on to, the law of attraction, is also the reason you may still feel stuck? You've probably repeated the affirmations, filled notebooks with gratitude lists, built vision boards with all your heart. You've visualized until your mind felt exhausted. And yet, here you are, wondering quiet, almost in secret, why hasn't it worked for me? Why does it seem to work for others, but not for me? I know the silent weight you carry, that subtle ache in your chest when you close your eyes at night and whisper to yourself, I've done everything right, and still, nothing changes. The frustration of waiting for signs that never come. The doubt that creeps in when you ask yourself if maybe you are the problem. The exhaustion of trying so hard to align with abundance, while reality keeps pulling you back into bills, fears, loneliness, and an endless sense of delay. It feels like you've been left out of a secret that everyone else already knows. And perhaps, in some way, that is true. Because here is the truth. The law of attraction is not wrong. It is simply incomplete. It shows you the desire, but not the key. You do not attract what you wish, what you desperately want, or even what you so carefully visualize. You attract what your subconscious mind has accepted as safe to receive. And this is where the paradox hides. You may consciously ask for abundance, but if the deepest layers of your mind have been coded to believe that abundance is unsafe, impossible, or unattainable, then your entire biology resists it without you even noticing. Bruce Lipton's research in epigenetics reveals this hidden mechanism. He shows us that 95% of your daily actions are not choices you make freely, but unconscious programs running automatic, installed by repetition and environment since childhood. Think about that. Only 5% of your life is directed by your conscious intentions. So when you write affirmations or imagine a new future, you are using the 5%. But when your subconscious, the 95%, carries an opposite code, scarcity, fear, unworthiness, your desire is drowned by the louder signal. It's like speaking into the wind. The words are carried away before they ever reach the field of creation. And this is why so many of your manifestations have felt incomplete, inconsistent, or painfully delayed, because the heart and the mind are not speaking in the same language. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that the electromagnetic field of your heart is infinitely stronger than that of your brain. Your mind may be projecting intention, but if your heart is trembling with fear, grief, or doubt, then the signal that reaches the quantum field is distorted. It's like trying to send a clear radio transmission through static. You speak, but the message is scrambled before it arrives. This is why you can affirm love while feeling abandoned. You can visualize abundance while secretly fearing poverty. You can meditate on peace while your body vibrates with stress. And the field responds not to your words, but to the deeper frequency beneath. Trying to manifest only through the law of attraction is like planting seeds in soil that has never been nourished. You can place the seed, water it with affirmation, and stand in the sun of visualization. But if the soil, your subconscious beliefs, and your emotional coherence is infertile, then no matter how much you hope for the harvest, nothing will grow. This is not to condemn you. This is not to say that you've done it wrong. It is to awaken you to the hidden key you've been missing. The seed is not the problem. The soil is. The vision is not the problem. The incoherence is. And this changes everything, because it means your power has never been broken. It was simply misdirected. So if you've been asking yourself why your manifestations keep slipping through your hand, know that you are not failing. You are being invited to go deep, to understand that manifestation is not about wishing harder, but about becoming aligned at the level of biology, energy, and soul. This is the beginning of effortless manifestation, not by force, not by chasing, but by creating coherence between your thoughts, your emotion, and your subconscious beliefs. The invisible error of wanting too much. There is a subtle error that hides within almost every seeker's heart, an error so invisible that it feels natural. It is the error of wanting too much. Wanting with intensity, with longing, with desperation, seems like devotion to the dream. But in truth, this wanting often carries within it the shadow of lack, and lack has a vibration of its own. Every time you want with tension, your body is not radiating wholeness, but emptiness, and the field does not hear your word. It hears your frequency. Think about the way your body feels when you want something badly. There is a tightening in the chest, a slight contraction in the stomach, a nervous agitation in the breath. This is not expansion. This is contraction. And when the body contracts, The message that reaches the quantum field, not abundant, but absence. You are not radiating the energy of having, you are radiating the signal of still missing. Bruce Lipton explains that these contradictions are not accidents, they are programs. Early in life, the subconscious records scarcity codes, messages of not enough, of fear, of comparison, of needing to fight for survival. These become the silent operating system that governs your vibration. So when you stand before a vision board filled with images of abundance, your conscious mind celebrates, but your subconscious quietly resists. It whispers, "This is not safe. This is not familiar. This is not you." And without noticing, your biology creates resistance to the very thing you are calling. This is why wanting with force often produces the opposite of what you desire. The more you push, the stronger the gap feels. The more you reach, the further it seems to move away. It is like pulling at the poles of two magnets. The harder you pull, the stronger the resistance becomes. It is not because the dream is wrong, it is because the energy is misaligned. There is a profound difference between wanting and already being. When you close your eyes and imagine yourself wanting something, notice the tension. Notice how it feels like leaning forward, always reaching. Now shift. Imagine for a moment that it is already yours, that the body you live in, the love you seek, the abundance you call for, already surrounds you. Feel the weight fall from your shoulder. Feel how your breath deepens. Notice the soft expansion in your chest. This is coherence. This is alignment. The body knows the difference instantly, even if the mind has not yet understood. Wanting too much does not mean you are unworthy. It means you are broadcasting two signals at once: the desire of the conscious mind and the resistance of the subconscious, and the field always responds to the stronger. If the subconscious feels lack is what expands. The invisible error is not your fault. It is simply the way you have been taught to desire. But desire without inner coherence is like pouring water into a cracked vessel. No matter how much you pour, it never fills. And when you finally notice, you think the problem is the wall, but it was always the vessel. When you begin to notice the sensations of contraction and expansion within you, you awaken a deeper awareness. You realize that manifestation is not about how hard you want. It is about how fully you align. And the truth is this: the more you become the state of already having, the less you need to want. And paradoxically, it is in this release that manifestation flows most easily. Why beliefs are more powerful than visualization. There is a quiet exhaustion that many seekers carry, though few dare to speak it aloud. The exhaustion of closing your eyes every day, faithfully visualizing a future that never seems to arrive. You hold the image, you color it with detail, you pour your longing into it, and yet, when you open your eye, the same reality greets you. Days pass, months pass, sometimes even years pass, and the dream seems like a distant echo instead of a living truth. And in the silence of your own, you begin to wonder if perhaps you are fooling yourself. The truth is that visualization by itself is not enough. Not because visualization is powerful, but because it requires a foundation it cannot build alone. Bruce Lipton's work in biology shows us that beliefs act as switches, turning genes on or off, activating or silencing entire cellular responses. If a belief is wired into the subconscious as unworthiness, then no matter how radiant the image you hold in your mind, your body does not recognize it as safe. Visualization without belief is like pressing a button that is not connected to any circuit. The effort is real, but nothing moves. And this is the paradox. Reality does not respond to imagination in isolation. It responds to the coherence between imagination and the subconscious code. You can see yourself wealthy, but if you believe that money corrupts, your vibration will reject. You can visualize love, but if you believe deep down that you are unlovable, your field will push it away. It is not cruelty, it is protection. The subconscious is not your enemy. It is the soil in which all your desires must be planted. If the soil is programmed for scarcity, the seed of your vision struggles to grow. But when the subconscious aligns with the image, everything changes. This is why states of deep relaxation are so powerful. When the body softens and the mind drifts toward the threshold of sleep, the subconscious becomes more receptive, more open to suggestion. In those moments, a visualization does not remain in the conscious mind. It seeps deeper, imprinting itself on the layers of identity where beliefs are stored. In this state, imagination becomes more than fantasy. It becomes reprogrammed. Consider this: shouting a message into a microphone that is not plugged in will never move an audience. No matter how passionately you speak, the microphone may vibrate, the effort may feel intense, but without connection, there is only silence. This is the same with visualization. Without belief, the microphone is unplugged. The field does not receive the message, but once the connection is made, once belief and vision join, the voice carries, and reality begins to answer. The exhaustion you have felt is not a sign of weakness. It is not a failure of your spirit. It is simply the fatigue of using a method disconnected from its power source. And once you understand this, the despair begins to loosen its grip because you realize that the issue was never your lack of effort, but the lack of coherence between what you imagined and what you believe. Visualization is a beautiful tool, but it was never meant to carry the weight alone. It was meant to be the image painted on the canvas of your beliefs. And when those beliefs shift, when the subconscious begins to agree, then the image comes alive. What once felt impossible begins to unfold with a quiet inevitability, not because you forced it, but because at last the inner code and the outer vision were speaking the same language. The silent saboteur, emotional incoherence. There is a fracture that often goes unnoticed, a split between what you say and what you feel. You stand before the mirror and declare, "I am abundant," yet a quiet fear stirs when the bills arrive. You whisper, "I am loved," yet a memory of abandonment still aches inside your chest. Words travel out, but emotions whisper a different story. And the universe, ever responsive to vibration, listens not to the words, but to the feelings beneath. Bruce Lipton reminds us that every cell in the body listens carefully to the signals it receives. When thought and emotion move in harmony, the body shifts into growth, healing, and expansion. But when the mind speaks one truth and the heart pulses with another, the nervous system reads contradiction. It is as if one foot is pressing the accelerator while the other slams the brakes. Energy scatters, momentum collapses, and stillness, or even regression, is all that remains. This is why so many affirmations feel lifeless, not because they are untrue, but because the nervous system marks them as unsafe. If you say, "I am wealthy," yet every past experience has taught your subconscious that wealth brings loss or rejection, your body does not feel expand, it feels threat. And so the affirmation, though repeated daily, never takes root. It drifts like smoke above the surface of your being, never sinking into the fertile ground where transformation happens. The language of manifestation is not spoken only by the mind, it is written in the ink of emotion. Without that ink, even the most beautiful affirmations remain invisible. Words without feeling are like empty letters, never mailed, sealed and stored in a drawer. They may exist, but they do not travel. They do not reach the field where creation listens. But when coherence is present, when the breath slows, when the heart opens, when gratitude fills the chest, even for something small and already true, then the body begins to radiate safe. In that moment, thought and feeling no longer fight each other. They dance. The nervous system receives a clear signal. This is safe. This is possible. This is real. And what is safe becomes allowed. What is allowed becomes created. This is why coherence is the secret so often missed. Your emotions are not obstacles to manifestation. They are the very bridge that allows thought to become reality. If they remain unacknowledged, they sabotage in silence. But if they are embraced, harmonized, and brought into resonance with your intentions, they become the very force that carries those intentions into form. To manifest is not to speak louder. It is to feel deeper. It is to allow your heart to become the ink that writes your future into the field of light. When mind and heart finally speak the same truth, the signal is no longer scattered. It is whole, and wholeness is what the universe always answers. Why most fail at letting go of control. There is a question that lingers in almost every seeker's heart. When will it happen? This question seems innocent, but hidden within it is a silent force of resistance. The constant measuring of time, the obsession with outcomes, the restless wondering of how and when create an invisible wall between you and the very reality you wish to call forth. The more tightly you try to control the timing, the more you send out the vibration that you do not yet have. And the field answers not your words, but that deeper signal of absence. Bruce Lipton reminds us that when the body enters stress, when cortisol and adrenaline rise, the biology shifts into survival. Creativity shuts down, expansion freezes. The body no longer radiates openness, but instead contracts into protection. And this is what happens every time you clutch too tightly at the dream. You think you are but in truth, your body is broadcasting fear. The very chemistry of your being is saying, "I am not safe. I am not ready. I must fight or I will lose." And the field, ever responsive, mirrors this back to you. This is why surrender is so misunderstood. Many imagine surrender as passivity, as giving up, as abandoning the dream. But true surrender is the opposite. It is the most active alignment of frequency. Neville Goddard taught that to live in the end is not to wait, but to embody. It is to breathe as if it has already arrived, to walk as if it is already yours, to live not in the anxious future, but in the fulfilled present. This is not giving up. This is tuning in. The shift is subtle, but powerful. When you release the obsession with when, you return to how. Not how it will come, but how you live now. How you carry yourself, how you choose, how you respond to life when you believe that what you desire is already here. These micro movements are not small. They are the signals that rewire your frequency. To embody abundance is not to chase more, but to live today as someone who values what they already have. To embody love is not to hunt desperately for it, but to treat your own heart as though it were already cherished. In this way, surrender becomes the most faithful act of manifestation. Control, in truth, is a clenched fist. Imagine trying to hold water with a tight grip. The more you squeeze, the faster it slips away. But with open hands, the water rests naturally in your palm. This is the essence of letting go. It is not abandonment, it is trust. It is the quiet knowing that the field responds most clearly when you release the noise of fear and stand calmly in the vibration of already be. Failure in manifestation does not come from lack of effort, it comes from the refusal to let go of effort. And the moment you understand this, the heaviness begins to dissolve, because you realize that manifestation is not about forcing reality into shape, but about allowing yourself to step into the shape that reality has already prepared for you. The quantum secret, living as a frequency, not as a seeker. Most people approach manifestation as seek. They wake each day with the unspoken thought, I am searching for something I do not yet have. They pray, they visualize, they repeat affirmations, all while radiating the energy of one who is still looking, still waiting, still reaching. And yet, the very act of seeking reinforces the identity of lack. The seeker does not find, because the seeker's vibration is built on the belief that what they desire is still missing. Bruce Lipton shows us that the body responds not to empty declarations, but to identity. When the subconscious believes, I am abundant, the entire biology begins to rewire. Hormones shift, cells adapt, the nervous system relaxes into growth instead of defense. But if the subconscious clings to the identity, I am lack, I am still searching, then the biology resists. And what resists within will always be reflected without. This is why lasting change never comes from chasing, but from being. Quantum physics offers a profound reframe. Manifestation is not about creating something new that has never existed. It is about tuning into what already exists within the infinite field of possibilities. Every frequency already vibrates in the quantum field. Abundance exists, love exists, healing exists. You are not pulling them from nowhere. You are aligning yourself to the signal that already sings. Just as a radio does not create music, but tunes into a station, so too do you manifest by tuning into the frequency of what already is. This is why the question that changes everything is not, how do I get there? But if I already were the person who had this, how would I live today? The answer is never in distant striving, but in present embodiment. If abundance were yours, how would you breathe? How would you walk? How would you choose? Not tomorrow, not when it arrives, but now, in the small gestures of this moment. Because each gesture is a frequency, each choice is a signal, and the field does not respond to what you want someday. It responds to what you are radiating now. Living as a frequency is not about pretending. It is not about denying pain or forcing positivity. It is about quietly inhabiting the vibration of already being, to embody gratitude even in small things, to breathe as one who is safe, not one who is waiting for safety, to walk with the dignity of one who is loved, not the desperation of one who is begging to be seen. The radio does not strain to create the music, it simply tunes, and the music flows. Manifestation too is not force, it is tune. And when you stop living as a seeker and begin living as a frequency, the shift is unmistakable. You no longer wake each day asking, when will it come? Instead, find yourself whispering, I am already here. I am already aligned. And everything else flows to meet. From forcing to flow, the science of effortless manifestation. There comes a moment in every seeker's journey when the weight of trying becomes unbearable. You repeat the ritual, the affirmations, the visualizations, and still nothing seems to move. And in that silence, you begin to believe that you are failing. But the truth is gentler than that. The failure is not yours. The failure lies in the incompleteness of the method itself. You were taught to force reality into form, when in truth, Reality was always waiting for you to flow into alignment. Bruce Lipton's work in epigenetics reveals the hidden key. Your biology does not move independently of your environment. It responds to it, reshapes itself by, adapts, and evolves with it. And the most powerful environment is not the world outside, but the one you carry within. Your beliefs, your emotion, your sense of coherence. When these shift, the very frequency of your cells begins to change. Your biology no longer vibrates in defense or scarcity, but begins to radiate safety, openness, and growth. And as this inner field changes, the outer field, the one we call the quantum field, responds in kind. Greg Braden calls this union of thought, emotion, and belief the language of the divine matrix. The universe does not respond to wishful thinking or hollow words. It responds to coherence. It listens when thought, emotion, and belief merge into a single vibration. That is the true prayer. That is the true command. Not words spoken out, but frequencies embodied inward. And here lies the final paradox. Manifestation is not about pulling reality toward you. It is not about forcing the universe to bend to your will. It is about aligning so deeply with the frequency of what you desire that reality cannot help but meet you there. You stop chasing. You stop reaching. You begin to live as the resonance itself. And suddenly, what once felt so distant arrives as if it had always been beside you, waiting for you to tune in. Stop imagining yourself as the architect endlessly forcing blueprints onto the universe. Become instead the gardener who tends the soil of belief and prepares the inner ground with intention. The gardener does not scream at the seed to grow. They create the condition. They nourish the earth. They trust the intelligence of life itself. And so it is with manifestation. When you prepare the soil of your subconscious, when you water it with coherent emotion, when you align thought and feeling into harmony, the quantum field responds as naturally as the earth to spring rain. Let this be your release. You have not been failing. You have been forcing. And now you are invited to flow. Whisper these words softly to yourself. I align. I release. I flow. I am safe to receive. Let them sink into your chest, not as effort, but as truth. Because the moment you stop pushing, you make space for receiving. And in that space, the effortless begins. Take a breath and imagine the possibility of living not as someone waiting, but as someone who has arrived. Let the weight fall. Let the struggle soften. The universe is not silent. It has always been speaking. And now, with coherence, you are finally able to hear.